Phil Scott boxer. Philip Scott Suffling 3 January 1904 December 1983, born in Paddington, London, was an English professional heavyweight boxer of the 1910s, 1920s and 1930s, who won the National Sporting Club NSC, subsequently known as the British Boxing Board of Control BBBofC British Heavyweight title. He joined the Royal Navy aged 15 and served as a seaman aboard HMS Trafalgar during the First World War. After the war, he was a police officer at Scotland Yard for 2 years, then a fireman for the London Fire Brigade from June 1922 to June 1924, and in 1933 he became a boxing instructor for the Egyptian. Scott started his professional boxing career in 1919. His coaches admitted that he knew virtually nothing about infighting, but that he had a fast left hand. He appeared on the cover of the November 1929 edition of the Ring magazine, and he co-wrote a book with R. James Alexander called The Complete Boxer, a textbook on boxing which sold for a shilling. Boxing career. Scott's first professional boxing bout was a draw with Piper Taylor at Edinburgh, Scotland, on 15 March 1919. His record included 4 wins and then a draw with 7 wins, 3 defeats, 2 no contests, and then a draw with Piet van der Veer, Netherlands, in London on 23 November 1921, 2 wins, and then a draw with van der Veer at Circus Schouwburg in Rotterdam, Netherlands on 6 November 1921, 3 wins, and then a points defeat by van der Veer at Hoogst Zoo, 4 wins, and then a knockout defeat by Albert Kid Lloyd, Australia, in London on 4 November 1922, 7 wins, and then a points victory over Lloyd in London on 31 January 1924, 3 wins, and then a points victory over Bertissehouse, Netherlands, in London on 29 March 1924, a points victory over Jack Humbeek, Belgium, at Premierland in Whitechapel, London, on 24 April 1924, a points victory over George Cook, Australia, at the Royal Albert Hall in London on 29 May 1924, 1 win, and then a technical knockout victory over Andre Anderson, United States, at Wembley Stadium, London, on 9 August 1924, 1 win, and then a points victory over Tom Heaney, New Zealand, for the vacant British Empire heavyweight title at the Ring in Blackfriars Road, London, on 22 September 1924, 1 defeat, and then a points victory over soldier Horace Jones, aka John Horace Bowden, at the National Sporting Club in Covent Garden, London, on 10 November 1924, 1 win, and then a points victory over Paul Sampson Corner, aka Paul Sampson, Germany, in Berlin, Germany, on 27 February 1925. 4 wins, and then a knockout defeat by Paulino Escudon, Spain, at Plaza de Toros de Bilbao, Spain, on 6 September 1925. A disqualification victory over George Cook, Australia, for the vacant British Empire heavyweight title at the Industrial Hall in Edinburgh on 27 January 1926. A knockout victory over Frank Goddard for the British heavyweight title at the Royal Albert Hall on 18 March 1926. A retirement victory over Noel Hugh McCormick, defending the British heavyweight title at the King's Hall in Bellevue, Manchester, on 30 April 1926. A knockout defeat by Harry Persson, Sweden, for the European Boxing Union EBU heavyweight title at Holland Park Rink in London on 14 June 1926. A points victory over Tom Heaney, New Zealand, defending the British Empire heavyweight title at the Dell in Southampton on 10 July 1926. A knockout victory over Marcel Lunaud, France, at Premierland, Whitechapel, London, on 2 December 1926. A knockout victory over Leon Cebelot, France, at Premierland on 12 December 1926. Then, in his second bout of the day, a disqualification victory over Armando De Carolis, Italy. A disqualification victory over Riccardo Bertazzolo, Italy, for the European Boxing Union EBU heavyweight title at the Royal Albert Hall on 27 January 1927. A points victory over France Diener Germany at Berlin Sportpalast, Germany on 4 March 1927. A disqualification victory over Yale, Aachen USA at Olympia in London on 21 April 1927. A disqualification victory over Helmut Stewart Germany at Premierland on 16 June 1927. One win and then a points victory over Pierre Charles Belgium at the Royal Albert Hall on 27 June 1927. Scott then traveled to the United States, where he achieved a knockout defeat by Knut Hansen Denmark at Madison Square Garden, New York, on 4 November 1927. A knockout victory over Monty Munn at St. Nicholas Rink, New York, on 28 November 1927. A points defeat by Johnny Risco, Austria at the Public Auditorium in Cleveland on 7 December 1927. A points victory over Pierre Charles Belgium at St. Nicholas Rink in New York on 19 March 1928. A points victory over Roberto Roberti Italy at Madison Square Garden on 11 May 1928. Scott then traveled home to England and scored a disqualification victory over Ted Sandwine, USA at the Royal Albert Hall on 31 January 1929. A points victory over Ludwig Hayman, Germany at the Royal Albert Hall on 2 May 1929. Scott then traveled back to the United States and achieved a points victory over Vittorio Campolo, Italy/Argentina at Ebbets Field, New York, on 23 September 1929. A disqualification victory over Otto von Porat, Sweden at Madison Square Garden on 9 December 1929. A technical knockout defeat by Jack Sharkey at Madison Square Garden Stadium, Miami, on 27 February 1930. Scott then traveled back home to England and went on to a knockout defeat by Young Stribling, USA at Wimbledon Stadium, London, on 28 July 1930. A knockout defeat by Larry Gaines, Canada, defending the British Empire heavyweight title at Welford Road Stadium in Leicester on 13 June 1931, his final professional boxing bout. Genealogical information. Phil Scott Suffling's marriage to Ethel S. Nee Moody was registered during July-September 1922 in Wandsworth District. They had children, June E. Suffling, birth registered April-June 1923, and Iris S. Suffling, birth registered April-June 1929.